that they're putting out some type of media.
Yeah, but I think the challenge is, but I think
the facts of the case
the challenge
became irrelevant because the court ignored the facts of the case and went even further to where they needed to go. And Roberts actually wanted to do the narrow ruling and just rule on that case. And the rest of them said, no, we're not doing that. And off to the races, he capitulated.
Sure. I think the issue is figuring out what electioneering is. I think that was the complicated part of it, that what kind of media could be released prior to a run-up to an election that would be considered electioneering or not. If somebody wanted to publish
there was an easy test for this, and that is the entity formed to produce media? And the way you measure that is how much media have they put out over the course of, you want to say 3 years is a reasonable time prior to it, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 1 year, 18 months, whatever it is. And that's the way you associate, you determine, is this an actual media enterprise or is it not? And there's ways, you could say the standards that you could use are arbitrary or whatnot, but that is a very easy.
I don't think it's a very easy question. If Christopher,
hypothetical,
sure, 2024 rolls around and Nolan decides that he wants to do a film attacking Trump the entire time, and he's going to put Christopher Nolan, film director, he did Inception and all that. He decides he wants to put out a film that's just basically a massive attack campaign against Trump, and he's got, he raises $400 million for this biopic, massive thing. I think conservatives will look at that, assuming we still have that 2002 Bipartisan Campaign Act or whatever, or the financing thing, and they go, well, hold on, this is a campaign ad. This is ridiculous. You can't. I'm just go, wait, excuse me. I'm a filmmaker. This is my right to do this. It's like, okay, well, we want to form companies and make movies too. No, you haven't had those companies long enough. I think that these questions, and I'm not trying to say I even agree or disagree. That's what
Citizens United was. And Roberts was willing to say Citizens United can show their ads because they have proven, just because they went into the film business, but they put out 2 films, they have a track record of it. I would say Nolan could do that, and I would say Citizens United could have done that too. But that's not what Citizens United, the case, is about. The case
we're talking about the broader implications of the case. This is what
I'm talking about the broader implication. I'm talking about the ruling in the case. The ruling in the case blew out the entire restrictions that we had on electioneering.
Hold on, I thought you said your issue wasn't the narrow ruling of the case, it was the broader implications, the broader ruling that was made in the case.
There were broader implications of the case, but the case itself, look, there was the case that was subsidiary that went through the lower courts. And that was the question is, does Citizens United qualify as a media organization because they have put out 2 movies in anticipation of wanting to advertise for this anti-Hillary movie? That was the case until it got to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is not constrained by anything. And so they addressed a question that was not even brought up in the case, which is there any constitutional validity to the McCain-Feingold bill? And the answer they found was no, but no one asked that question. That was a question they posed to themselves, and they didn't need to.
Well, wasn't the issue with the Citizens United was that in order to give them a win on that case, they basically necessarily needed to flip that bill? Wouldn't they have to make a ruling on it, or?
No, they could make a ruling that because they had done 2 movies in the run-up between 2004 and 2008, that they now qualified as a media enterprise, and that they could run advertisements for their documentary about Hillary Clinton.
So the precedent.
Want to do.
So then the precedent here that you would have preferred to set is that any time a company wants to release a piece of media, it has to go through the courts to make sure they have the First Amendment right to do so, to make sure that they're a valid enough media company to do it?
Anytime a company wants to release a piece of media 60 days before an election, that is not release, but to advertise on television, on FCC airwaves,